Hey folks, Mark Walters, host of Armed American Radio. I just got done spending a couple really fun hours out at the range. And you know, we talk about gun safety on Armed American Radio every week, and I wanted to send this video as a reminder to you. The 4 rules of gun safety. Practice them all the time. You'll guarantee yourself a fun and safe trip every time you're out shooting. Number 1, treat every gun as if it were loaded, always. No matter who gave it to you, no matter how well you trust them, pull the slide back, lock it, insert a finger into the chamber, and make sure that that gun is in fact unloaded. Number 2, always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. Never let the muzzle cross anything that you're not willing to destroy. Follow it. Very safe. Number 3, know your target and what is beyond it at all times. No matter whether you're shooting indoors or outdoors, know your target and what is beyond it. And number 4, the no-brainer of all, keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to fire the gun, even when you bring the gun up on the target. Follow those 4 rules, you guarantee yourself a great time. I'm Mark Walters, and I'll see you on the radio. Have fun shooting and stay safe, folks.
Hey, Mark, how are you?
I'm doing great, James. How you doing? Happy 100th episode, my friend.
Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate that. Listen, you know, we saw that little intro that you did, and I'm going to confess to you right now that number 3 is the one I have a problem with. It's what is behind that target. And, you know, I focus on what I am shooting at, and that number 3 that you brought out is an excellent point, because I think both of it, or all of us, home in on what we're about to shoot at and sometimes forget what's behind that target, whatever it happens to be, an animal or whatever you happen to be, your pleasure is that day. But I think number 3, to me, really strikes home, and I'm glad that you brought that out.
Video, James, actually came out of an incident that happened to me at the local range. I was actually at the gun range down the street from my house and was reminded of gun safety while I was standing there at the range. I was getting ready to pull out my new Smith & Wesson AR-22 rifle and have some fun with it, just clinking, when a gentleman who occupied the stall next to me saw the gun that I was getting ready to shoot, and he says, "Hey, I've got one of those. I love it." He reaches into his case, he pulls it over, and the next thing I know, as I'm turning around, his muzzle is pointed directly at my head. So I made a comment to him that I didn't appreciate his unsafe gun handling practices, and for that, what I did was I told him that if it happened again, I was going to go ahead and talk to management and make sure that he wasn't wasn't going to be allowed to be on the range much longer. A couple minutes later, he left. I felt a little bit more comfortable about the fact that he was gone. He returns about 5 minutes later with a tactical shotgun, and this time he had a side saddle on it with about 5 rounds in it. As I turned around again, he was walking over to my stall on a crowded range, and the next thing I know, I've got a shotgun muzzle pointed directly at my chest. I had him removed. Long story short, I talked to the owner of the range, as a good friend of mine. I had the gentleman removed. He's no longer allowed to participate at that range, thank goodness. But it reminded me of gun safety, and you know how we talk about it all the time on the radio program, and then you see something like that. And I walked outside and actually filmed that video and put it up on the website as a reminder to folks at the Armed American Radio website, because it had hit very close to home in just a couple minutes earlier.
Yeah, you know, that's absolutely right, Mark, because I can think of a number of times when I've gone to the range, and you know the people that are surrounding you by the way they handle themselves and the way they handle their equipment and their guns and all paraphernalia that goes with that. And it's pretty easy to spot the individual who has gone in there with a very casual, maybe he doesn't understand exactly what he has and what he's doing there, and he's taking it much too casually. They're pretty easy to spot. Unfortunately, you had this one removed from the range. Folks.
Yeah, he won't go back again. The owner will not allow him back in the range again. I know that for a fact. I'm pretty good friends with the gentleman. But that brought up an even bigger picture, James. You know, my neighbors and friends are no strangers to what I do for a living and what I talk about on the radio. And in fact, I have a lot of friends and neighbors talk to me from time to time about guns and gun safety. And one of those conversations came up a couple weeks ago. My children play with a couple little boys down the street. And, you know, their father has approached me a number of times, and he keeps telling me, you know, I mean to talk to you about going and getting up a gun and coming with you. I really need your help. And I said, well, let's go to the range first and spend some time shooting before we talk about what you want to get. I don't want to see you pick something up that you haven't fired. He's not been a gun owner for a number of years. And I started asking him about gun safety. You know, it's very important that we talk about kids. He has 2 little kids. And he says, well, you know, I don't really teach gun safety in my house, you know, because we don't have any weapons in our house. And I said, well, you know, I do. And your kids are over at my house all the time. Whether you have a gun in the house or don't have a gun in the house, your kids play at other places where guns are in the home. And it's important that even parents without guns in the home teach their kids, it's more important, in fact, that they teach their kids gun safety so that, you know, look, better than 80% of the folks right outside my window here and neighbors probably have a gun in the house. So, you know, just because you don't doesn't mean you don't have to teach your children about safety.
Yeah, that's a good point, Mark. And I don't think most of us take that into consideration. I know that I have some friends also who are non-gun owners who do have children, and I'm almost 100% sure had those children not come over to my house, had I not told them about guns, they would never have been told. So that's a very good point.
Yeah, and it's something that we need to talk about all the time, and quite frankly, sometimes avid shooters and gun owners themselves tend to be the ones to forget it the most because they've been taught properly. They know they handle a gun safely, instinctively, and sometimes they don't think about it as much as they should. When they have an opportunity to talk to a friend or to talk to a neighbor, then it becomes even, you know, much more important to do so. Just to keep reminded about the fact that it's you know, the number one safety is right here. It's in your brain. It's between your ears. And if you follow those 4 rules, there would never be an accident if those 4 rules are followed.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Mark. Again, thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. Sure. At this time of year, when a lot of gift giving is going on, and I myself are giving gifts this year, which are guns, so it is one of those things that we need to stay. It was a perfect topic. Thank you very much.
Well, great. Well, happy 100th episode. I'm very proud to be participating with you, James. Thank you so much.
See you again next week.
You bet. We'll see you next week.